is about the wonder of a childhood imagination. Back in 1964, the movie Goldfinger came out to wild acclaim. Suddenly, the TV was filled with all these spy shows. I Spy, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Secret Agent Man, Mission Impossible, and the only one that I watched, Get Smart. In the summer of 1967, a couple of months before I turned 8, my older brother and I were playing outside, and he said to me, okay, you're Secret Agent 006.7, and I'm Secret Agent 006.11. So, immediately I started practicing my spy skills, climbing on furniture, hiding behind corners, training for the day when I would discover the deep, dark secrets that lay beneath the surface of this seemingly ordinary small town in Indiana. One of my early missions was to investigate the private quarters of the commanders of home base, code names Mom and Dad. I investigated the chests of drawers and the contents therein. The first drawer was full of frilly nighties, and I found at the bottom a small object wrapped in a yellow chamois cloth. I took it out and unwrapped it, and there was a handgun. Now this object had no interest for me, so I just wrapped it up and put it back where I found it. And I went on to the next drawer. This drawer had white panties, white pointy bras, white girdles with garters, and stockings with a funky smell like sweaty feet. But underneath this all was the real treasure. There were 2 large, thin paperback books entitled Sex to Sexty. Each book had 60 jokes and cartoons of a sexual nature. So I sat down and I perused these top secret documents for as long as I dared, while keeping one eye on the doorway. Over subsequent investigations, I managed to complete my reading without being captured. Mission accomplished. I still remember some of the cartoons in those books. My favorite was of a knight riding on a horse, chasing after this maiden in a tall, pointy hat. As she ran, her white dress flew up, exposing her chastity belt. The knight aimed his lance at the padlock on her belt, and the end of his lance was shaped like a key. I got a little tingle every time I thought of that cartoon. As a matter of fact, I still do. Once a month, the female commander of home base would have a meeting with the other commanders in our district. No one knew what went on in these secret meetings, except that somehow it involved dessert. So, on the day before our commander was to host such a meeting, I discovered a crumb cake in the refrigerator. My commander told me in no uncertain terms, "Don't touch that cake, it's for the ladies' meeting." So naturally, as soon as she was occupied watching her soaps, Secret Agent 006.7 crept into the kitchen, quietly opened the refrigerator door, reached my hand in, pinched off a tiny piece of cake, and I ate it. I glanced down and I noticed that this crumb had landed on my finger, so I wiped it off. It's still there. I brushed it off again. It's still there. What the heck? So I went to the sink and I washed my hands carefully and dried them off with a towel. It was still there. Oh my God, I started to panic. What if the commander found out that I had disobeyed orders? So in desperation, I grabbed the steel wool and I rubbed and I rubbed and I scrubbed and I rubbed my skin raw. I was just like Lady Macbeth after the murder of King Duncan. Out! Out, damn spot! But to no avail. The mark of Cain remained, mocking me in my pathetic efforts to stay out of trouble. It was a few weeks after that I happened to glance down at my finger and I realized, wait a minute, that's not a cake crumb, that's a freckle. So, it wasn't long after that I realized that I really wasn't cut out for the spy business. I had an inability to stay quiet. Not only was I a talkative child, but I suffered from a chronic sinus condition. I coughed and cleared my throat constantly. So reluctantly, I had to give up my dream of a career in espionage. But to this day, whenever I notice that freckle on my finger, I remember my spy days and how I was branded by the hand of God for my sins.